In this lesson, we will solve multi-step equations. Let's start with our essential question. Do the guidelines for solving equations have to be used in a certain order all the time, like order of operations? And what is the ultimate goal to solving equations? So these are the two questions you want to keep in mind as we go through this lesson. So we will start with a list of guidelines for solving equations. So first, eliminate parentheses. So we could do this a couple of different ways. You could use distributive property, which we talked about in the last two lessons ago, or multiply by the reciprocal. And we will do an example where we have to use the reciprocal to get rid of the parentheses. Second, combine like terms if necessary. So sometimes you could do some of these steps, but not all of them are necessary to do. So we only combine like terms if there are like terms to combine. Next, to get the variable on one side of the equation. So if you have x's on both sides, like x plus 3 equals 2x minus 5, I have an x on both sides. We have to get the variable on one side. And we do that using inverse operations. So you do the opposite. If it's a positive x, then you're subtracting x on both sides, for example. Perform inverse operations to isolate the variable. Okay, so this is some of the methods that we were using in the last lesson, solving two-step equations. We used a lot of inverse operations. Let's take a look at an example. We want to solve and then check our solution for the equation 9x plus x minus 7 equals 13. So note that I have the notes set up with 3 columns. In the first column, we will have our solution. In the second column, we will list the steps that we are using to solve that equation. In the last column, we will do our check. First thing we want to do, let's take a look at our list. Eliminate parentheses is first on our list, but we don't have any parentheses. So we would go to the next one, combine like terms. Are there any terms that we can combine? Okay, if you look at the left-hand side, we do have multiple x's, a 9x and a 1x. So we need to combine like terms first. And so that would be 9x plus 1x, which gives us 10x minus 7 equals 13. So then you just copy the rest of the problem down. Next, if we look at the list we have above, number 3 says to get the variable on one side of the equation, but I only have one variable in the problem. So we would go to the next, perform inverse operations to isolate the variable. So that's our second step in this problem. Use inverse operations to isolate your variable. And so we're going to do 2 steps. Our first is to add 7 to both sides. So I'll add 7. On the left, I have 10x. A minus 7 and a plus 7 is 0. So they will cancel each other out. 13 plus 7 gives me 20. And then the second is to divide by 10. So we divide both sides by 10. On the left, 10 divided by 10 is 1x. On the right, 20 divided by 10 is 2. Then we need to check our solution. So when we are checking, we start with the original problem, 9x plus x minus 7 equals 13. You are going to substitute the result that you got, x equals 2, and plug it into the x spots in the equation. So that's 9 times 2 plus x, which is 2, minus 7 equals 13. Now when we are evaluating this, you are only evaluating the left-hand side. You're not going to do anything with the 13. It's going to stay at 13 on the right-hand side. So we are only going to evaluate the left-hand side using order of operations. So I have some multiply, add, and subtract. So we'll do the multiply first. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 2, minus 7. We have not gotten a 13 on the left-hand side yet, so we're going to keep checking. Next is the 18 plus 2. Add and subtract happen at the same time. You do whichever is first. 18 plus 2 comes first, so that's 20 minus 7 equals 13. So then you subtract. 20 minus 7 is 13. 13 does equal 13, so it did work. So x equal to 2 is your solution. Next example. Again, we will have our solution, our steps, and our check. Okay, so I just copied the problem down to start with. In this case, we do have some parentheses, and if you recall on our guidelines, we want to get rid of the parentheses first. Step 1, we will distribute -7 into parentheses. So we've got 4x. Don't forget there is a minus in front of that 7, so you have to carry the minus in with the 7. So this is like a -7 times x, so minus 7x. -7 times -2, there's 2 minuses there, that changes to a plus 14 equals 26. So then our next step, if you notice on the left-hand side, we do have some x's, so we need to combine like terms. 4x minus 7x is -3x. You have to be careful with your positives and negatives. Plus 14 equals 26. Now it's a regular two-step problem, like in the last lesson. So we will use inverse operations to isolate x. The first step in doing that is to subtract 14 from both sides. So minus 14, -3x, positive 14, and a minus 14 makes 0. So they cancel. 26 minus 14 is 12. Second step would be to divide by -3 on both sides. So we divide -3 here, divide -3 there. Again, careful with your positives and negatives. Since there's a negative in front of the 3, you have to divide by -3. A -3 divided by -3 is a 1x. 12 divided by -3 is -4. Remember, when the signs are different, your answer is negative with multiplication and division. So it appears that our solution is x equals -4. So the last thing we want to do is check it. So you want to check your solution. So on the right column, we're going to copy down the problem. 4x minus 7 times x minus 2 equals 26. We are going to substitute our -4 into the equation. So 4 times -4 minus 7 times -4 minus 2 equals 26. So let's see. We need to use order of operations. You must use order of operations to evaluate this left-hand side. You cannot use any of the methods that you used in the left column. First thing on our list are grouping symbols. Okay, so we do have some parentheses right here, and inside the parentheses we have -4 minus 2. So you have to do that part first. So -4 times -4 minus 7 times -4 minus 2 is -6. Don't forget, add the opposite if you need to, and that should equal 26. All right, so we did our grouping symbols. Next are exponents. There are not any exponents in the expression, so we go to the next line in our order of operations, which is multiply and divide. I do have a couple multiply parts. So 4 times -4 is -16. Minus 7 times -6 is -42. Equals 26. So I left this minus there, and then I just did a regular 7 times -6 to get my -42. Remember, when you've got the 2 minuses right here, that makes a plus. So then -16 plus 42. So actually do the calculation. So if you need to do a little arithmetic off to the side, do some borrowing to get that is 26 equal to 26, so it works. Oops, I don't need to box that one. We want to box what the correct answer is. So the correct answer is x equals -4. Last example, copy down the problem. We have parentheses, and one of the methods that we had talked about for getting rid of the parentheses is to distribute. But if I try to distribute 3/5 into the parentheses, I'm going to end up with more fractions. So if distributing doesn't work out so nicely, we can multiply the reciprocal. Multiply the reciprocal. Okay, remember, reciprocal means you flip the fraction. So you have a 5 on top and a 5 on bottom, so 5 over 5 is 1, 3 over 3 is 1, leaving us with just 2x minus 4. On the other side, make that a fraction. You can simplify 18 divided by 3. 3 goes into 18 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. The denominator is just a 1. So we got rid of our fraction. Okay, so our first step was multiply by the reciprocal. Now it's a regular two-step problem, so we can use inverse operations to isolate the x. And the first step to doing that would be to add 4. We're going to add 4 to both sides. Minus 4 and a plus 4 is 0, so 34 on the right. And then divide by 2. We'll divide by 2 on the left, divide by 2 on the right. So x is equal to 17. And then we want to check our solution. So in the far right column, copy down the problem first. We substitute our solution, in this case 17, into the problem. So 3/5 times 2 times 17 minus 4 equals 18. Remember, you're using order of operations to evaluate the left-hand side. So the first step is grouping symbols. So here's my grouping symbols. So inside of that grouping symbol, we have multiply and subtract. Multiply comes before the subtract. So 3/5, 2 times 17 is 34, minus 4 equals 18. Now we can do the minus 4 part. You have to finish the grouping symbol. We've not finished it yet. So 3/5 times 30 equals 18. Now there's nothing left to do inside the parentheses, so we're going to multiply. You can make that a fraction. You could multiply straight across top and straight across bottom if you like doing it that way, then divide from there. Or you can do the simplifying across. So 30 divided by 5, 5's on the bottom. So 5 goes into 36 times. It goes into itself once. 3 times 6 is 18. 18, that's what we wanted, so it works. So x equal to 17 is the correct solution. So now what I would like you to do on the left-hand side of your notebook, so this is the page opposite your notes, you are going to do these 3 practice problems and answer this last part. Describe a significant difference in the solving process between problem parts A and B. Okay, so you're wanting to describe a significant difference between these 2 solving processes. And we'll work on this in the next class.